Good evening. My name is CHIKA IWUOHA-CHIBUEZE, and my seminar presentation for the NTIC 2021 Teachers Challenge is on the topic, the role of nature and nurture in the development of gifted and talented children. So I will now, nature and nurture both play significant roles in the wholesome development of children, especially the gifted and talented ones. Most times, people have assumed that children who are naturally endowed need not bother about their environment and the types of experiences they are exposed to. This assumption is far from being the reality, as research has proven that environmental factors and experiences that a child is exposed to have ways of enhancing or suppressing whatever the child might have been endowed with. So children who no matter what nature has bestowed on children, environment plays a vital role. The experiences the child has plays a vital role. Everything about the child's environment, how the child is brought up, how the child relates, and everything, every situation around the child, socially and otherwise, they play a role in enhancing or suppressing what the child is endowed with. So if the environment plays a positive role, the child's endowment will be enhanced. But if the environment plays a negative role, whatever the child is endowed with will be suppressed. So instead of enhanced, it will be suppressed. Now, who are the gifted and talented children? Gifted and talented children are those children who demonstrate or have the potential to demonstrate exceptionally high capabilities. Maybe they already demonstrate it high, maybe they demonstrate or they have the potential, even if they are not already demonstrating, they have the potential to demonstrate exceptionally high capabilities. Gifted and talented children are also high or potential high achievers, and they have exceptional high performance abilities, they have high learning abilities, they have high creative abilities. They are the children that demonstrate an above average cognitive ability generally or in specific academic or non-academic domains. Such children academically, they are high flyers. And then in non-academic areas, they are also high achievers. So those are gifted and talented children. Now, gifted and talented children, are they the same? Are there differences? Now, here are the differences between gifted children and talented children. Gifted children are born with natural abilities. The abilities they have, the ability to perform high, to learn faster than the others, is inborn, is natural. They are born with such potentials. They are born with such abilities. But talented children are those who develop their own abilities over time. Gifted children are naturally above average. They are above average naturally. So whether they make effort or they don't make effort, or whether they make very little effort, naturally they will be above average. But the talented children are those that achieve high-level results through conscious and consistent effort. So talented children, they make efforts to develop themselves in those areas of their talent, but gifted children, it is natural to them. Whether they make effort or they don't make effort, they see themselves performing very high. Children can be gifted and talented at the same time. Yes, a gifted child can also be a talented child. So a child can be gifted because it is natural, because a child is born with those abilities. And the child can as well be talented because the child makes effort, conscious and consistent efforts to develop the child's abilities in specific areas. So children can be gifted and talented in many areas, including the areas of sports, arts, music, intellectual ability, and many more. So a gifted child might not, a gifted child and a talented child can be gifted, can develop the abilities in sports. A child can be good in sports, art, music, and then intellectual ability. The child is there in every area. So there's no limit to what a gifted and a talented child can do. And then, but these gifted children, how do we know them? We have behavior patterns or behavioral patterns. We have characteristics, the things that will help us to identify these gifted and talented children, so that when we see them, we know that this child is actually gifted, this child is actually talented. First, what are the behavioral patterns? Behavioral patterns are the recurrent or repeated ways of acting by an individual towards a given object or in a given situation. Now, those children in our classes during lessons at home, they have specific ways of acting, ways of behaving, that we can predict these behaviors. When we see these children, they have the same pattern of behavior. They have the same characteristics. They have the identifiable, notable behavior, that observable behavior. So these are behavioral patterns that are common to gifted and talented children. Now let's look at some notable facts. Children usually start early in life to manifest characteristics and behaviors associated with giftedness and talent. Now, if parents, if teachers, if relatives pay attention to these children, right from early stage, right from early in life, they start manifesting this behavior. So we only need to pay attention to see these behavior manifesting in these children. So usually they start early in life to manifest these characteristics and behavior. That's a fact. And any child that is gifted or talented has a number of abilities, needs, intelligences, and learning styles that is specific to him or her, okay, to that individual. Now, although when we have 3 gifted children, or when we have 2 gifted children or 2 talented children, they have their specific learning styles. They have their specific learning abilities that is specific to them. Now we have children who before they will read, they need to listen to music. In a noisy place, you have children that when they are reading in a noisy place, they get to understand it better. And there are children that if it is noisy, they might not learn. They need a very quiet place to learn. That's specific to them. And then we have other children who, except they walk around and jump up and down, they will not learn. And then we have others jumping up and down will distract them. So every child, talented, gifted, they have their specific learning styles. They have their specific or areas of intelligence and needs. So when we have 2 talented and gifted children, they have different needs. So knowing these needs will help to know how to handle them individually instead of, so anyone, their individual needs will, how you handle the individual talent in the person or how to help the talent in the person depends on the individual need of that talented or a gifted individual. However, as a group, children who are gifted and talented tend to manifest a common characteristic and behavior that are easily identifiable. Although we have their specific needs, they have their specific styles of learning, they have their specific characters and behaviors, but there are also common behaviors, common characteristics that are identifiable in all of them. So we'll look at those significant behaviors and characteristics in gifted and talented children. Now, first, they are good thinkers. Yes, gifted children are good thinkers. They think very well. They think effectively. They are good thinkers. Now, as you are teaching them, they think beyond what they hear. They think beyond what they learn. They are good thinkers. And then they are rapid learners. They learn very, very fast. They are rapid learners. And then they are morally sensitive. Most times, gifted children, they are morally sensitive. Sometimes they don't lie. They don't lie. They don't like lying. Now, if you have a talented or a gifted child in your class as a teacher, now if something happens, the person that will tell you the absolute truth will be the talented child or the gifted child. So they are morally sensitive. Now, because they are morally sensitive, they get easily hurt when people lie, lie, when people do the wrong thing. They are the ones that will report. They are the ones that will say no to it. They are the ones that will stand their ground against an injustice. They are the ones that will stand their ground against unfairness. They are the ones to object when something is wrong in the class. If you have them at home as parents, now the person you are sure that will tell you the truth when you are not there, what happened, will be the gifted or the talented child. They are the ones that will give true report of what happened because they are morally sensitive. So they want everything to be morally done. They are morally upright. Now, they are also persevering in their interests. If they have their area of interest, what they really like doing, they persevere. They don't give up. They endure it, they do it, they make sure they finish it. If a child likes doing something, even when others give up, the child will want to do it and see the end of it. If a talented child is reading a book, now you see the child can even leave the food in order to finish the book that he or she is interested in. Such children, that's a way of identifying talented children. That behavior is there. Their area of interest, they persevere in it, they don't give up, they pay attention, in, if they like mathematics, whenever it's time for mathematics, they pay undivided attention to mathematics. When they like music, when music is playing, when everything about music, they pay undivided attention. When it is sports, they do everything to make sure they are up to date with everything about sports. And then they can go to the extent of whatever they want to deny them, so they persevere. Now, they are good recallers. They have great memory. Yes, they have excellent memory. So, gifted and talented children are good recallers. Whatever you teach them, they will recall it. They will remember. They don't forget easily. And if something happens at home, if you have them at home and you think they will forget, no, they won't forget because they are excellent recallers. They have excellent memory. And that is why whatever, no matter how minute the detail is, no matter how little, they don't let it go. They hold it, they remember it. So that is why whatever they are taught, they can easily remember it. Now, they are super curious. I'm sure we have them. Most teachers, they are super curious. They ask a lot of questions. They are very, very inquisitive. They want to know everything. They want to know why. 2 days ago, one of my pupils sent a WhatsApp video to me, and a voice note followed. And he was asking, Mrs. Chika, I'm just curious. I've just been wondering. I woke up and I thought about it. I asked my mom. My mom said I should ask you. Is it true? I don't really believe that the earth is moving. He said, if the earth is moving, how come we don't get to see it? When we look around, everything is still. If the earth is really moving, we should see it moving. The way that when you are in a car and you are moving, when you look outside, you see that, the trees are spinning and everything is just passing. So how come we don't get to know that we are moving if actually the earth is moving? So I told him, when you come to school the next day, I'm going to tell you why you don't get to see that the earth is moving. And when he came, he brought a football, and I told him, now, if we can get an ant, we couldn't get an ant. And I told him, now, if you are in a car, a moving vehicle, and you are looking down, maybe you have something, you have food you are even eating, or you have a book you are reading, and you are looking at the book you are reading, you are not looking outside. Do you know the car is moving? He said, oh, I don't know. I've not thought about it. I said, okay. Now, when you are going home today, in your mom's car, I want you to look down, look on yourself. Don't look outside the window. Look on yourself, look inside, maybe look on the seat and tell me, do you notice that the car is moving when you are looking down, not looking outside the window? The next day, you give me your feedback. And the next day he came, he said, yes, when we were going, I looked down and there was nothing to show that the car was moving. Only when I looked outside the window, I saw that the car was actually moving. I said, yes, that is how it is. Because we are inside the earth is actually moving. So we don't get to know that the earth is moving because it is moving in a regular speed. I am not in the sciences, but I think that's the explanation. So the same way that you are in a car, and when you are not looking outside the window, you are looking within and inside the vehicle, you don't know it is moving. You can do anything. Now, those in the train is actually moving, probably on a high speed. But people could stand up, go and use the restroom, eat, do a lot of things, but they don't get to know that the train is moving, except when they look outside. The same way. Now, you only know that the train is moving or the car is moving if the regular speed is something happened. It is no longer moving on a regular speed. So it will jerk, then you know it is moving. But if it is on a regular speed, you will not know. So children are curious. They want to know about everything. They ask you certain questions. They ask you some questions that even you, sometimes you might not have answers to, that you need to go and research and all that. So they are super curious. They want to learn everything. They ask a lot of questions. And then again, they are compassionate. Gifted and talented children are compassionate. I can tell you that. They are compassionate, they are kind, they treat others well. So that is, when you see a very, very compassionate child, there is a possibility that you are looking at a gifted or a talented child. Now, they prefer the company of adults to that of their age mates. Now, gifted children, their age mates, to them, they feel their age mates is below their level. Their age mates are below their level. They tend to look down on their age mates because, in their brain, their IQ is a bit higher than those of that of their age mates. So they prefer the company of adults because they believe that adults are mature and they are more mature than their age mates because they have higher thinking ability, they have higher ability. So they prefer adults and they relate with adults like adults. Sometimes when you see them, the way, the kind of questions they ask, the kind of statements they make, the kind of things they say, you marvel, are they really adults? Did somebody tell them to say that? Sometimes you wonder, maybe an adult told them to say that. Maybe they heard it from an adult. Sometimes, most times, they didn't hear it from any adult. And now they have good vocabulary. Yes, they have good vocabulary. So sometimes the words they use, you wonder, at this age, this person has this vocabulary, this has these words, because because they are thinking ahead of their age, so they have good vocabulary. Now they are hyperactive. Yes, they are very, very hyperactive. Their attention span is they are most times inattentive, especially if it is in something they don't have interest in. So if you have a child in your class that finds it difficult to sit down, or as a parent, you have your children who are always jumping up and down, always they want to do, they like being active. So it is, maybe the child is a gifted or a talented child. They are also perfectionists. They want everything to be perfectly done. They want everything to be done very well. So if it is not well done, you see a talented or a gifted child will go back to make sure it is well done. They are always in good mood. Yes, they are always in good mood. They have good sense of humor. They have good sense of humor. If you have such talented children, sometimes they can say things that will make you laugh and wonder, why is he saying that? So if you're around gifted and talented children, they are always happy people. They have good mood. They make people laugh, and then they have good sense of humor. And then they are easily bored by routine tasks. They don't like doing the same thing over and over. They want to do different things. So easily bored by routine tasks. When the task becomes a routine, they lose interest. They lose interest. They give up. And then they are also inattentive if they are not interested in anything. If they are not interested, there's nothing you will do that will make them to pay attention. Now in the class, if learning is going on, if teaching is going on, and they are not interested, there's nothing you will do to make them pay attention. They are easily distracted. So we have to, when you have such children, you have to be careful how to handle them so that they will not be easily distracted. And then they are extremely emotionally sensitive. They easily feel hurt. They are easily offended. Although they have great sense of humor, but they are easily offended. So they have sensitive emotion. And then they can be non-compliant. I don't want to say disobedient. They are non-compliant. Now, when you see them in the class, sometimes you ask them to do things, they will ask you a question, why must they do it? And sometimes if they are not convinced, if they are not interested, you find it difficult to compel them to do it. So they can be non-compliant. And then they are dually or twice exceptional. Now, psychology has explained that dual exceptional children or twice exceptional children are those children who are talented or gifted in specific areas. So they have good qualities, exceptional good qualities, and then they also have bad qualities or what we can see as negative behaviors. Like they can be like the non-compliant aspect of it. They can be disobedient, they can be rude, they can be stubborn, but they are highly gifted. Now, when you have such children, as a teacher, you are not happy that this child doesn't obey you. You are not happy that this child finds it difficult to listen to you or to do what you ask the child to do. But then, whenever you give the child a task, the child does it exceptionally well. So you are happy that the child gives you what you want, but then you are also not happy that the child gives you headache. The child doesn't comply, the child doesn't obey. So the gifted children are like that. Now we talk about nature and nurture and development. Nature, nurture, and development work hand in hand. You can't separate them. When you talk about gifted children, talented children, or even children generally, you can't separate them. Nature provides the raw materials, development processes those materials into different products, and nurture refines those products. So without nurture, the raw materials are not refined. And without development, it can just be one single seed. Okay? Just like we have one single cell at conception, and then the single cell now develops into different cells in the body. So that is what development does. So nature sows the single cell at conception, and then nurture development, processes it, and then nurture refines it. The brain and all parts of the body have to develop well for nurture to be effective. Now, if you have a child that is not well developed, sometimes nurture might not be effective. Okay, if the brain and all parts of the body are not, for instance, a child that can, that is gifted, that can be gifted in sports. Now, if the legs are not well developed, that the child cannot use the leg, it's difficult for the child to play football, for instance. Now, a child that has, the potential to do well in music, if the child cannot talk, then it becomes a problem. So everything about the child needs to develop for nurture to be effective. So a child that has the potential to to do well in music, there's no way training, that has the talent, there's no way you can train the child to sing very well. Okay, so and then a child that has a potential to play instrument very well, then without the hands, the piano, for instance. So the brain and every part of the body needs to develop well for nurture to be effective. Now, where nature is impaired or deficient due to ineffective development, nurture can bridge the gap. Now, we have seen children who are gifted and talented, but they are disabled. And then, despite being disabled, they still, achieve their potentials. We have children who don't have, complete hands, but they can still do some things that those with, with their hands cannot do. So nurture has helped to bridge the gap. And then you see those who we see you see those children with some disabilities. Nurture, they are trained, and the training will help them to do certain things that ordinarily they wouldn't have been able to do. So that's what nurture is. Now, what is nurture? Nurture is the basic or inherent features, character, or qualities of a person. They are the basic, they are the inherent features, what a person is made of, what is in the person. Now, nature is also the innate essential qualities or character of a person or an animal. And nature is the inborn hereditary characteristics that influence or determine one's personality. That is one's nature. Now, we have dominant in heredity, we talk about traits, dominant traits, and we have recessive traits. Now, the dominant traits are those traits that a child manifests. And then we have recessive traits. Now, the recessive traits are those traits that the child does not manifest. They are not manifest, they are not revealed. But that they are not revealed doesn't mean they are not there. So the child inherits those traits from both parents, both the dominant and the recessive ones. But because some are dominant, we get to see only the dominant ones, and then the recessive ones are not seen. So those inborn hereditary characteristics are those, whether dominant or recessive, they are inside the child. And then what is nurture? Nurture means the sum or the totality of the environmental factors influencing the behavior and trait manifested by an individual. So now, the sum total of environmental factors, the influences, the things happening to the experiences a child goes through, an individual goes through, everything about the child. These are the things that help the child. These are the things that nurture, that help the child to become what the child is. And then to nurture as a verb means to further the development of an already existing attribute or characteristic. And then it means to educate or to train. So when children are being trained or educated, they are being nurtured. Now, when environmental factors, when children are, brought up in an environment, everything about the environment, everything, all the experiences, they are part of what nurtures the child. Now, nature, nurture, and the gifted or talented child. Now, no matter how gifted a child is, without nurture, the child will never achieve his or her potentials. So even if nature has endowed the child with several potentials, without nurture, the child might never achieve those potentials. So nature plays a significant role. Nurture plays a significant role in bringing up or developing whatever nature has in nature, with whatever the child has in him as his nature. And then the two extremes of poorly developed, we have poorly developed potentials and we have highly developed potentials. So both of them can be attributed to nature. Okay, so whatever nature has given to somebody can be poorly developed or can be highly developed. But depending on nurture, an average child can tilt towards either poorly developed or highly developed. So a child that has natural ability, now if the child is well trained, there is a possibility that the child will manifest those potentials. But if the child is not trained, if the child is not helped, if the child is not nurtured, those potentials, those abilities in the child will not manifest. There's a possibility that the child will never manifest them. So nature and nurture is very important. Now we have words gifted and talented children. What gifted and talented children? We have Ben Kasim. He's the world's best surgeon. We know his history, his story. When he started, he was not too good at school, and then his mother encouraged him, and then through conscious effort, he discovered his talent and he worked on it, and today he celebrated. Now, as a talented child, if nurture did not set in, there is a possibility that he might not have become the world surgeon today. Thomas Edison is also another world's most celebrated inventor. He is a talented child, and then nurture also helped him to reach his potential, to achieve his potential. Henry Ford is another one. Now, quotable quote: society gains from the advancement of all abilities and from the highest development of all its members, whatever their strength. That which nurtures and actualizes in each individual nourishes us as a society. This is a statement made by Clark in 1997. This is so true. So without this talent, we cannot. In conclusion, nurture bestows exceptional abilities on children. Some of these abilities and capabilities are well developed, but others are not. So nurture can help to develop or suppress these abilities. And it is important to pay attention to the needs of these children in order to help them achieve their potentials. Thank you, and God bless you.